Hello everyone. So this is the first class to learn about the Vedic astrology. So let's begin with this. So first of all, it is important to understand the basic concept of Jyotish, what Jyotish means, and how it came to the human civilization. So Jyotish word is originated from the Sanskrit, which has a two component of this word, Jyoti plus is, which is known as a um, the light of God. So Jyoti means the light, and then Is means God, right? So God's light. So basically, the sun, which is also known as the Karaka for the light, and which lights the whole entire universe and the solar system. So that's why the sun is the main Karaka to lighten the life on this earth. So basically, if we look at our Hindu scripture, so every creature in this world has Atma, which is known as a light. So when the Atma meets to another light, which is came from the Jyotish, or the light from the another thing, so light plus light becomes the Jyotish. So that's the basic concept. So why reading Jyotish is important? So in our Hindu scripture, so Hindu education system, so Veda is the ultimate scripture in Hindu scripture. So before we go to study the Veda, it is important that we complete all the Vedanga, which is known as a Siksha, Vakaran, Chanda, Nirukta, Jyotish, and Kalpa. So where the Jyotish is known as the I, so it is a very critical uh, to understand the Jyotish before we go and start reading any Veda. So there are various, we will say the component or the type of Jyotisha. The first one known as a Siddhanta or Ganita, which is the astronomical aspect of astrology. So where all those calculations, so the calculation of the planet, preparation of the chart, and the Panchanga, so everything comes under the Ganita, which is about the astronomical calculation. Second part is Phalit Jyotish, or we can say analysis and interpretation. So based on the calculation we derive from Ganit or from the Siddhant, so whatever the chart is being prepared, whatever the Dasa or Mahadasa is being calculated, so based on that, so astrologer will conclude their prediction or conclude their analysis, which is known as a Phalit Jyotish. And third component is the remedial aspect. So based on the interpretation, so the interpretation might shows the some risk or some sort of karma to be fulfilled for that individual. So remedial, any astrologer will give you the remedy basically to transfer or to avoid the risk, or to minimize the risk, or maybe whatever the additional karma to be fulfilled in order to go for the better karma. So the astrologer will aspect the will suggest the remedial aspect. So we'll discuss more detail in the upcoming classes about the remedial, the interpretation, and so on. There is also a astrological concept where the astrology basically is astrological concept on predicting the natural disaster or man-made disaster, or economic cycle, or political disturbance, or any kind of the financial crisis. So that is also known as a mundane astrology, so which works on a completely different parameters and different theories there. And whatever the prediction, the last prediction is done as of today is based on the Horai Skanda, which is also known as Parasari astrology. So based on the sage Parasar, he has given a basic principle about the preparation and interpretation and giving a remedy in his book, which is known as Parasar Hora Sastra. So based on that, whatever conclusion or remedy is given is known as a Parasar astrology. Similarly, Gemini astrology is also there. So Gemini astrology basically we can say is a complementary to the Parasari, so it is not deviated from there. So so Gemini also has a little bit different technique in terms of drawing the analysis or the conclusion. Similarly, Tajika astrology, the Islam religion, they practice some astrology known as a Tajika astrology. So likewise, Bhrigu astrology, Muhurt astrology, Prasna astrology, and Krishnamurti Paddhati, KP astrology as well as. So there are various concept is being followed, but largely what we go through is the Parasari astrology. So before we begin the classes on astrology, so it is really important to understand the 5 different components where every living creature in this universe is made out of those 5 components. So those 5 components are ether, known as Akas, Prithvi, Jal, water, Agni, fire, and Vayu, air. So all our human body or any creature in this earth is basically out of those 5 elements. So what we will do in the astrology, so every planet will have impact on those 5 elements at the different level. So we will try to look at the link of the planet with those 5 components and how it is going to impact on those components, and eventually those components will impact on our body, right? So we will try to look at in the days to come on linking those planets and nakshatra with the Panchamahabhut, these 5 elements, and how it is going to impact on us. We also look at the various aspect of human minds, because normally human minds is considered as in the modern science as a brain. But when we go and look at the more in the at the adhyatma level or the spiritual level, so these are divided into the 4 different components together with the soul. So one is called as a mana, so which is known as a mind, which is a kind of a sensation or set the desire. And another component is a buddhi, which is also known as an intellect. And then chitta is consciousness and memory and storehouse of all our impressions that we built over the period of time, or maybe from the past birth as well as. Then ahamkara, which is also known as an ego, right? So we will try to look at how the different planets or different constellation will impact on those 4 elements over the period. And definitely soul, which is like known as Atma. So we will look at that, how the Atma will work on those 4 components, and how can we balance among these different components. So astrology is not just about some astrologer do some magic and do the prediction and give you some gems or a stone, and that will transform you over the night. No, it is not like that. So it is purely based on the karmic account or the karma we performed, maybe in the past birth, on the past period, or at present, or in future. So the karma has been divided into 3 components. One is the first one known as a sanchita karma, which we built over the period of time. So this sanchit karma could have been carried over from the previous life as an opening balance of our this life, or maybe the karma that has been performed in the past. Similarly, the present karma, of course, the karma or the action what we perform today. So it is not about the physical action only. So it is it has a 3 different components. The vachik, which is the speech. So whatever from karma we perform by speaking. And the manasik, and the karma performed through the mental process. And kayakik is a physical action that we carried on day-to-day basis. Similarly, the Agami or the future karma, so which is again based on our Sanchit and present karma, so our future would be decided. So the astrology is purely based on the karma that we perform, so it is not a magic at all. So let me explain you here how the karma would works in our case. Okay, so let me give you an example. Even let's take an example, the identical twins, even they're sitting together in the same environment, but if you go and look at I mean at their thought level, they might have a different thought of bubbles coming up. Maybe even within the same family, sitting together in the same environment, same profession, similar age, and the same discussion, but their thought bubbles might be completely different, right? So how the thought bubbles are generated over the mind, it is nobody knows these days, but it purely depends on every individual has unique way of creating their own thought, right? So based on the Hindu scripture, the thought bubbles are created based on the past karma and as well as the impact of the planet to or different level of those four different elements, right? Mana, buddhi, chitta, and ahamkara. So whatever impact there, that will trigger to create the thought bubbles, right? So those thoughts will create a desire, and based on the desire, when we are ready uh, to to make a plan, and then when the plan is being executed, that is known as a karma, right? So it is a pure logical, and we can see a clear linkage between thought to desire, and when we become readiness, we make a plan and then you execute, and that is known as a karma. So any thought today will result the karma for the futures, right? So it is really important to purify our thought. So how we generate the thought, that is quite deeper level. So the Jyotishi basically, or the astrology, it try to purify your thought process, and which will energize or motivate you to deliver the positive karma, so that you will have a better future in the days to come. So so this is I'm just trying to show the main concept, how the astrology which is the concept came even before 15,000 years ago, uh, that the earth goes around the sun and earth is around, so that's why the earth is called as a Goal. So that means earth is around, so and it goes around the sun, and which is also known as a Jagat. So Jagat means it is the element which has the speed, right? So and in those the Veda or different astrological books which has written the thousands of years ago, already given those astronomical calculation and method, how to develop a solar calendar or how to develop a lunar calendar, how many does it takes to go around the sun, and when the eclipses are happening, and so on. So it is purely the astronomical science, the preparation and the calculation of any charts or any panchanga. So it is not a magic, it is not a trick. So we will go step by step to learn in terms of preparing the birth chart based on the solar or lunar calendar, how it is being calculated. So again, this is a little bit detailed. So in our solar system, so there are millions of asteroids, or there are so many hundreds of planet, even within our solar system, planet or subplanet. But what is important for us is to look at the planet which has an immediate impact on us and which is very close to us. So what we will look at from the analysis perspective, what we are going to read more in the days to come. First of all, we read the sun. So sun is a kind of fixed star, but from the impact perspective on the human life, it has a significant impact. So we also consider as a planet for the astrological, the interpretation or the calculation purpose, though it is a fixed, it is not a planet, we know. And similarly, the Mercury, which is the fastest planet, Venus, and the Moon. Moon is a satellite to the Earth, but which is a karaka for the water element. And as you know, the entire Earth, 2/3 is a water. Even a human being, our body is made of the 2/3 of the water. So it has a significant impact on any life on the Earth. So Moon will have a significant impact, though it is a satellite or the subplanet to the Earth, but we consider from the impact perspective as a planet. So Earth, since we are living on Earth, so it is a planet, but we don't need to do any calculation because we are trying to look at how the other planet or other star is going to impact on us. So Mars is the closest planet to us, so we will look at that, and then Jupiter and Saturn. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Pluto, the astrology never considered as a planet. It is a subplanet now. Even the NASA also declared that it is not a real planet. So even the Vedic astrology never considered Pluto as a planet. But Uranus and Neptune, they are too far from us, and their impact on the life on the Earth are significantly minimum. So we'll not consider the Uranus and Neptune. So we'll go all the way from Sun till Saturn. So just to understand what is Rasi and what is Nakshatra here. So basically, since we are sitting on Earth, and if we go and look at the sky, so whole the sky we can see as a circle, right? So which will be a 360-degree. Then those circle would be equally divided into 12 different sections. So when we divide, we can see a different images made from the stars, right? Or you can see a group of a star which will shows a different kind of image, and some of the case you can see an image like a ram, some of the case you can see an image like a crab, some of the case you can see an image like a couple sitting there. So based on those images, so we name those the sector as a group of a star as a Rasi. So that is considered as a Rasi for us. So whatever the planet is going into that Rasi, and then we will look at the impact on those Rasi by through those planets. Similarly, if we further dissect the Rasi into a smaller component, so 12 can be further dissected to the 27, which is known as a Nakshatra. And here is a little bit concept about the Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu are not, doesn't have a physical existence, but that play a very critical role in terms of doing any interpretation of anybody's chart, right? So what are those Rahu and Ketu? So Rahu and Ketu are basically north node and south node of the Earth, and where the sun and moon intersect on those points together with the earth line. So when we draw a straight line on the earth, and then moon goes around the earth, and those intersect point is known as a north point known as a Rahu, and the south point known as a Ketu. So these are a kind of hallucination point on the north and south. It's not the physical planet, but it is a more on the hallucination point. So in terms of calculating uh, the eclipse or the grahan, so earth, moon, and sun, they need to be together in the same line together with the Rahu and Ketu. Then only the solar eclipse or the moon eclipse will be created. Otherwise, I mean, even the Purnima and Amavasya, also sun and earth and moon come in a linear position, but it doesn't constitute eclipse because north node and south node doesn't come into the picture. So it is really important. The Rahu and Ketu, they are in the same line together with the earth, moon, and sun in order to form any eclipse. So just to conclude the today's class, so So the basic pillars for the Jyotish is Ganit, which is a calculation part and preparation of the chart. Phalit is the interpretation part, and remedy is given any recommendation in order to minimize the risk or in order to elevate some of the component on a human being, so is known as remedies. So these are the uh, the main takeaway from the today's class. And in the next class we'll more discuss about the birth chart, how the birth chart is formed, and what is the process to draft a birth chart. We will discuss about the next classes. And